I used to love Christmas Eve. The lights, the quiet, the feeling that the whole world was resting for one night. But ever since last year, that night means something different to me now. Something I still replay in my head every time I hear a creak in the house or footsteps on the porch. People always ask if I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. In fact, the truth is worse than what I usually tell. It started around 12:30 a.m. Christmas morning. My wife and kids were asleep upstairs. I was downstairs finishing up assembling a last-minute toy kitchen set for my daughter. The living room was lit only by the Christmas tree, warm, soft colors blinking across the walls. Outside, snow was falling hard. Thick flakes, the kind that muffle everything. It was so quiet that I could hear the faint hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen. That's why the sound startled me so much. The crunching of snow right outside the house. Slow, purposeful steps. At first I thought it was a neighbor, someone walking late, maybe taking their dog out. But the footsteps didn't continue down the street. They stopped, right by my front door. I muted the TV. 2 seconds passed, then 3. Then the doorknob wriggled, not just bumped, twisted, tried. Not by the wind, not by accident. Someone was trying to open my front door. I froze. I didn't want to panic and wake the kids, but my hand moved automatically to the baseball bat I kept behind the coat rack. Another twist, a little harder. Then a whisper on the other side of the door, raspy, quiet, and too close. Come on, open up. Cold spread through my whole body. The whisper didn't sound like somebody asking for help. It sounded like someone playing. I reached for the peephole, but before I looked, something tapped against the glass. A gloved finger, slow, rhythmic. It took everything in me not to gasp. I stepped back from the door, gripping the bat in both hands. My first instinct was to run upstairs, lock the bedroom door, and call the police. But the staircase was right in view of the front door. I'd have to run right past whoever was out there if he got inside. So instead, I dialed 911 while keeping my eyes on the door. As the phone rang, the tapping stopped. Then, footsteps walking around the side of the house. I whispered into the phone. Someone's trying to get into my home. Christmas Eve, addresses. The operator cut me off gently, telling me units were already nearby and on their way. But the intruder was fast. The footsteps moved to the back of the house. I felt a jolt of fear. The back door had a weaker lock. I moved through the kitchen just in time to see a shadow standing behind the frosted glass. A tall figure, broad-shouldered, wearing something that looked like a Santa jacket, except it was darker, thicker. The fur around the collar looked dirty and matted, and over his shoulder a bag, not a sack of presents, a shapeless, sagging burlap bag that dragged along the snow behind him. The man tried the back door handle. Then he spoke, but not to me. It sounded like he was talking to whoever or whatever was inside that bag. Shh, almost inside. Then you can come out. I felt every hair on my arms rise. My first thought, my only thought, was my family upstairs, my kids, my wife. I wasn't going to let anyone into this house. I locked the deadbolt, braced myself, and yelled through the door, "Police are on their way." For a moment, everything stopped. Then he stepped close enough that the shape of his face pressed against the frosted glass. I couldn't make out details, just outlines, a long beard, a crooked hat, and something else. A smile, wide, too wide. He whispered, "Let me in before they get here. I'm only here for the kids." That was it. That was the line that snapped something inside me. I stepped back, ready to swing the bat at whatever came through. He jiggled the handle again, then harder, then slammed his body into the door so hard the hinges rattled. My wife yelled from upstairs, half asleep, asking what was happening. Before I could answer, the intruder slammed again, harder. The wood split at the bottom. The frame shook. I shouted for everyone to stay in the bedroom and lock the door. The man outside growled. Not human, not normal. A frustrated, animalistic sound, low and vibrating. Then he stopped. Silent. Too silent. I backed away from the door, the bat raised. Seconds dragged by like minutes. Then I realized something. The side window in the laundry room. It didn't have a lock. The footsteps were already crunching toward that side of the house. I sprinted down the hallway, slid across the tile, and reached the window just as the silhouette rose in front of it. The man smacked both palms against the glass and leaned in, staring directly at me. For the first time, I saw his face clearly. The beard wasn't real. It was patchy, like hair glued onto a mask. The hat was handmade from torn fabric, and his eyes, wide open, unblinking. The whites were red, as if he hadn't slept in days. He hissed, fogging up the glass. "I see you." I slammed the window shut just as he lifted something, a metal hook from his bag. He scraped it across the glass, slowly, deliberately, while staring at me through the fog. But then, finally, the blue and red lights flashed across the snow outside, reflecting across the walls of my kitchen. I stepped back from the window as officers shouted commands, real, sharp, confident voices that cut through the terror. Footsteps crunched rapidly outside. Not mine, not the intruders. The police were surrounding the house. "Hands where we can see them. Get on the ground." I ran to the front hallway and risked peeking through the blinds. The man in the makeshift Santa outfit was halfway across the yard, dragging that filthy burlap bag behind him as he tried to escape toward the woods. But he wasn't fast enough. 2 officers tackled him into the snow. The bag he was carrying burst open on impact, nothing but rope, tape, and rusted tools scattering across the ground. The man let out a chilling scream, more rage than fear, thrashing wildly, until a 3rd officer knelt down and cuffed him. He kept yelling, even when they hauled him to his feet, his voice echoing off the quiet houses around us. "That family is mine. You can't stop Christmas. You can't stop me." Officers shoved him into the back of a patrol car as he continued kicking at the door and pressing his masked face against the window, eyes wide, teeth bared, ranting about coming back. Before the police left, one of the officers assured me he's not getting out anytime soon, and even if he did, we'll know. When the cruisers finally drove off, taking the screaming intruder with them, the only thing left in my yard were footprints, scattered tools, and drag marks where his bag had been pulled through the snow. I locked every door and window and didn't sleep until the sun came up. But at least this time, the nightmare ended in handcuffs, not a disappearance. Christmas morning was quieter than usual. The kids still got their presents, but they stayed close to us the whole day. And for the first time in my life, the sound of police sirens felt like the safest sound in the world. We moved a few months later anyway, just to feel normal again. And every Christmas Eve since then, I stay awake a little longer, listening to the stillness of the night. But now, when I think back on that night, there's one thing that gives me real peace. He didn't get away. He didn't vanish into the woods. He's exactly where he belongs, behind bars.